What we got, Gary?
All right, let's talk Elijah Lofton.
Right.
He looked phenomenal, obviously, on those few plays early in the game. Why do you think he has not been able to make that kind of impact this whole season?
Well, I mean, I think that we have a lot of skilled guys. It's just their first year to step into a starting role, and sometimes it takes a little longer than people expect. You know, I mean, we got the quarterbacks new, skilled guys are new, so you know there was probably times earlier in the year that he had opportunities and we missed him. There's probably times early in the year that he could have done some things different to get open, and there's just a process of feeling comfortable and the past games coming around and he's getting open, and you know that play, I mean, heck, the coverage they played was perfect for that particular route that we had on. That if they'd have played a different coverage, the ball would have went somewhere else. So it's almost like everything kind of matched up in that particular situation, but he's been trending in the right direction. There's nothing he's doing wrong. It just, sometimes it takes a little time.
Did that have like special meaning for him? Did it do
What do you
something
mean by that?
For confidence, for...
I think when you make, the more plays you make, the more confidence you're gonna have. I think everybody's probably, you know, falls into that category. You know, I think the first play of the game, we handed it to him and he didn't get a lot out of it, but it was a damn good run. Like he made the safety fit and bounced it outside and got a few yards, and so just finding different ways to use him really, and you know, just him growing in the pass game, it's gonna happen. I mean, kid's very talented.
How do they feel to have Mark Fletcher back?
Felt good. He's a very calming force out there, and you know, heck, he picked up a lot of third and shorts, you know, and just him in general is just a good guy to have. You know, his leadership skills and his physical ability. He caught the touchdown on the spider, which was good to see, and so yeah, played well.
Shannon, speaking of the same with the running backs, you talked to us about Coach Merritt, essentially will put guys in. What were the conversations leading up to this game with Mark back in the mix, Pringle, in terms of?
Yeah, it's a crowded room in the sense of like, it's hard to play like 4 running backs, right? And so there's a lot of guys in that room doing a lot of good things. I mean, Pringle took advantage of this. I mean, it all comes down to taking advantage of your opportunity. That's really what it comes down to. And then we have to figure out through the course of the game how the flow of the game's going. Like, you know, do we need to make a change to mix it up? You know, and I lean on him heavily for that because I'm not sitting there staring at that part of the game. I'm thinking about a lot of other things. And so I trust him to get guys in the game that need to be in the game. And so, you know, as the game went on, you know, Mark was probably in there a little more, and then Marty played the second half some, and so, you know, there's just, and Jordan's been playing really well, and he's going to get an opportunity soon, and he's going to take advantage of that again. And so it's just, that room's a crowded room, so it's, when you get your opportunity, it benefits you to take advantage of it.
With Pittsburgh's defense, specifically with their linebackers, what they're able to do, what they, you know, behind the line of scrimmage, impacted that, just the challenges for you guys in that group.
Well, structurally, they're a very sound defense. You know, they've been that way for a long time. I mean, Narduzzi's like obviously known for that. They play extremely hard. You know, they strain, and that's probably, minus the scheme part of it, the thing that makes them good on defense is they strike you. They don't, you know, they're not a stop your feet type defense. They're going to run through you, and they play with an air of confidence and cockiness that most good defenses play with. And so, you know, the physical part of the game we have to match. And so they're very good against the run. You know, they account a number of people to the run. Their safeties are very aggressive. Their linebackers are as good as we've seen all year. And they just do some subtle things up front that they're always matched up well, if that makes sense, from the first level to the second level to the third level. It seems like their defense is always matched up very well with whatever scheme you're running. And so we have to be on point. Like our skill guys on the perimeter have to do a great job of blocking. They really do. And they've done a great job all year, and we have an edge to us outside, but they also have an edge to them outside. And so the challenge is there, and we know it. But they're in a very aggressive defense. They're going to get in your face. They do a good job of affecting the quarterback without bringing a lot of people. And so it's a heavy challenge, and we know what we're up for.
And obviously Malachi's having a phenomenal season. Like, was there a point the spring after we got here, where maybe you noticed something where you were like, okay, this is not just your standard issue freshman. We're gonna be able to use him ASAP.
Well, I mean, it was, watching what he did in high school. I mean, obviously played quarterback the last, how many ever games he played. He played very well. It wasn't like he was just in there running around and throwing verticals, throwing glance routes and all the rest, going through progression. So, you get a kid like that, you obviously don't want to overload him at the beginning because you don't know what the transition's like from practice to a game. So let the kid play some, right? And so there's been a journey through the course of this year of just really unloading on him as much as we can. You only have you only have X number of plays in the game. And so right now the number of plays are drastically lower than they've been in previous years. I mean, you take that game, for instance, Virginia Tech, we had 8 drives in the game. And counting the end of half, 2-minute drive where we kicked the field goal, and the end of game one. So really had 6 through the course of the game, which is crazy. You don't see that unless you're playing an option team like Army or Navy. So whatever reason, the number of plays are lower this year than they've probably been since I've started coaching. And so with that being said, what you do in those plays, right? I mean, so trying to utilize his skill set along with everything else in the offense that we do has been the journey. And so it's good to sprinkle him in and his skill set in just naturally. And what I mean by that is it's easier to do things with the guy that's on the field all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if there's like a quote unquote guy that you like, but he's sitting over there with me, and I put him in there, and then the first time I put him in there, we go to whatever with him, and he has a great play. Well, then now defenses know every time I put him in there, antennas are up, right? The difference with Mally, he's in there every play. And so they can't necessarily tell when we're going to do Wildcat or when we're going to toss it to him or when we're going to do all these things. So that allows us to be a little more creative because I'm not subbing a guy on the field with a special skill set that can't do all the other stuff.
Right.
What makes Mally special is he can do all the other stuff. Now, this stuff he's doing, the 2 or 3, 4 plays a game, yeah, I love it. But what makes us go as an offense is all the other stuff that we do routinely every day that he does really well. Because that means he's on the field all the time, and they don't really know when we're going to do these 3 or 4 plays.
And speaking of special stuff, what do you think of that 3/4 arm slot throw that he made?
Well, I mean, they covered the post, and so he went to the over route and put it on him. It's like, it's like he's been doing it his whole career almost, but he's very calm. He just tends to make stuff work, which a lot of times those players like him tend to make things work.
Are you stealing the shift, the gadget plays or the ways you're using Malachi, whether it's as a decoy or just shifting him, motioning him, etc.? Are you stealing it from anywhere in particular as you watch football?
Yeah, I mean, you watch games. I mean, everybody steals stuff. There's nobody that's, the godfather of anything, and nothing's patented in this game, right? So the movement stuff, I just try to find ways to window dress what we do. I'm trying to find ways to hide him, line him up in the backfield some, line him up at, an off alignment, line him up as a single, just so people can't necessarily know where he's going to line up. And so I might see something that, I might be sitting at home watching an NFL game and see something that, oh, that's pretty neat, and make a little note on my phone. And ultimately, as the game plan lays out during the week, try to incorporate that into the game plan. Yeah, that happens a good bit, but it's got to be something that fits. It's like if we can do it and then we can match up 4 or 5 other things with it. Maybe a play action or maybe a screen and maybe a run. So it can't be just a one-off deal. I don't necessarily think that's great. Sometimes those things work well, but not all the time.
Was he bracketed as much this game as he was the previous games?
No, he wasn't. They did the throw to Lofton. They played cover 2 over there, and I don't even know if that was something that they did because he was over there or that's a call they make. Sometimes you can't tell. When people play man coverage in bracket 2, you can tell. But when people are mixing up coverages like they've been mixing up with us, I mean, I would say that we see more stuff through the course of the game than people show on tape. You know what I mean? And I think part of that is our pass game's very efficient. Carson's played a lot of football. They're trying to disguise a lot of stuff, and they're trying to throw in new wrinkles that they might not have done. I mean, there was a handful of plays in that game that they had never ran before defensively. And so we're just going to get that week to week because of just the way we throw the football. But ultimately, some of it might have to do with him. I think it has more to do with just them trying to throw people off and throw our eyes off, you know.
Just the offensive line, your pass protection, just been one of the best.
Been great.
Yeah, just your thoughts on how the group has grown in that aspect.
I mean, growing is a word I don't know if I'd use because it's been good the whole year. You know, we do get better every week in our communication. Our running backs and O-line are tied together in a way that I probably haven't had in my career. You know, we very seldom are not on the same page. And one thing that's been very good lately is if it does break down, Carson's been doing a good job of getting me 5 or getting me 4 with his feet, you know, and keeping plays alive, which I think is crucial. But ultimately, our protection is what makes our pass game go. Because without that, you know, it's hard to play quarterback in a muddy pocket. And I think that if you went and asked the team we're playing this week, that's probably one thing that they're, you know, pressing upon their defense is we have to muddy the pocket with as low number of people as we can bring. And I think that's the challenge probably against our offense is try to affect the quarterback with the least number of guys that you can bring.
The ACC takes a lot of knocks out there, but in looking back at this whole season, it just seems like it's been a grind. You know,
Yeah.
just you know, dealing with the defenses, dealing with some of the things you just talked about, trying to score enough points. What are your thoughts just on the entire body of the season to this point and what you've faced as an offensive coordinator, you know, trying to manufacture enough points to win every week?
I think D-lines have gotten better in this league. You know, it's one thing I see this year is I think overall the D-lines across the board have gotten better. The knock, I would say, I don't necessarily think it holds much water because I would urge you to go look at the schedules that some of these guys are playing that are, you know, ranked really high and just look at the record of the teams that they're beating. You know, that's a pretty interesting journey to go on. I've been on it. And so just take a peek and see, you know, see who people have really beat. I think it's an interesting, you know, it's an interesting thing to do. And so, but ultimately, you know, through the course of our year, we did have a non-conference, you know, schedule that was challenging, you know, and it led into our conference, which in my opinion, what makes the conference good is parity. Like, is it from top to bottom, can anybody beat anybody? And in our conference, you can say yes, because it happens every week. You can't determine what's gonna happen, right? I mean, Boston College has won one game and they had Georgia Tech on the roads, right? And so it's that to me is the reason our conference is a tough conference, because every game you could lose. You got to come to play. You look at other conferences and you know that, like, you know, I mean, there's going to be 5 or 6 games that, you know, you're going to win, you know? And so what makes this conference tough is, you know, you better come to play, and if you're not, the teams at the bottom right now can beat you.
Along those lines, Virginia Tech held you to 2.8 yards a carry in the running game the other day, which is...
You are a stat guy.
Well, it's kind of like an astonishing stat, quite honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, when you consider the way that you know, you've run the ball, going back multiple seasons now.
I probably should have ran it up the middle more.
What? I figured you'd come up. But what were they doing something special defensively, throwing wrinkles in there that made it harder to run the ball?
I wouldn't say they're doing anything special. I will say that, you know, their D line is challenging to block, and I thought we did a good job blocking them. I mean, what makes a game like that? Because do you remember how many rushes we had off the top of your head? 30. And so it wasn't like we didn't rush it, you know. But what puts that game, and what was the actual yards? 100, right at 100? 80?
Yeah.
And so this is the way I look at it. I'm being, you know, I'm gonna shoot you straight here. Not that I don't all the time. That's not a comment people make. But I thought throughout the course of the game, we had a number of 10 to 12 to 13 yard rushes and a lot of nagging rushes, meaning like 5, 6 yard rushes, right? So if you watch the game and the flow of the game, we had counter hit a couple times. It was like 15, you know, and then we had some that was like that. We got stopped, like the line of scrimmage got stopped or whatever. There was probably 3 to 4 plays in that game that we just missed that could have went long. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And those are the ones right now that we need to hit if we want to take the next step at running the ball. Because I see it, I get the 2.8 or whatever, but through the flow of the game, I didn't think we were running it poorly because I always felt like we were gaining yards. Does that make sense? Like we were getting 8, 10, 12, 4, maybe 2, but like we had a number of 10 to 14 yard runs. We just didn't have a 30 or 40 or 50 yard run. But we had 3 or 4 opportunities where it split down the middle and we just barely missed it. Mm-hmm. Or we ran outside zone and we just got tripped up. You know, those are the plays, those 3 or 4 plays in the game where it kind of works out perfectly. We're just not hitting those 3 to 4. And if you do, then even if you account for all the other ones that might be 2.8, those 3 or 4 put you at 5.6 or 6.8. You know what I'm saying? We're just missing those 3 to 4 that are like blocked up perfectly and we kind of trip or we get like something happens and we don't hit it or don't see it. That's where we're at in the run game right now. We need to get it to where when we have it, it's a home run. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Two more questions.
I was gonna say, where do you stand on the idea of, a lot of coaches are in this position now at the end of the year, but style points mattering. Where do you stand on that?
I view it, I mean, I don't know about style points, but I will say that I want to finish the game the right way. You know, and there was times this year where I felt like we didn't, and I knew what we were going to get on that last play. And to me, you know, we don't get a lot of just man coverage like that. And so taking advantage of that situation with exactly what they were going to do, I mean, that went more into it than style points. It was just more of, I knew what they were going to do. And to me, that if people are going to play that particular coverage to that set, then that throw is very routine for us.
For this game too, like, does it enter into anything that you guys?
No, hell no. We're trying to win the game, you know, and both teams are really playing for the same reason.
I just want to, Shannon, you touched on Pat Narduzzi. I was trying to see if you guys, have you crossed Pat? It doesn't seem like,
No, I want to say, because I was at West Virginia for a number of years, he was not the head coach when I was we only played him one time when I was at West Virginia. We played him the first year, and they did away with the backyard brawl till recently. And so, no, we haven't crossed paths. It'll be our first time.
Great, thank you, Coach.